Ladies and gentlemen, today we had the mid September Federal Reserve meeting. And just like we all thought, the Fed has decided to cut the interest rates by 0.25 basis points. We all knew they were going to cut. The question was, would it be 0.25 or 0.50? But now it's been rumored and reported by Powell and some of the top people at the Fed that there's going to be multiple cuts. We can see now on Polymarket, they're saying, yeah, we're probably going to also have a 0.25 basis point cut in the October meeting right before Halloween. So this is very good news. And people say, well, it was already priced in. The stocks don't do much. But the point is, this is going to give people more disposable income. We need the rates to come down. Now they're at 4.25. I think the Fed's target by the end of the year is possibly 3.5 or 3.75. So it's at least two more cuts. And they've said, I mean, you can see even CNN saying Fed announces first rate cut in 9 months, signals more reductions to come. And so the inflation has been relatively under control with a 4.5% interest rate. It doesn't make too much sense. And there is the cut. We also do have this updated October 29th meeting, the September 17th meeting. That was the meeting that just happened. You can see they are expecting around the orange is a 0.25 basis point decrease. And that's been trending up significantly. This is really the rumors we've seen over the past few days that it's going to be with each meeting, we're looking at like a 0.25 cut depending on the indicators. The indicators change. They might change in terms of what they want to do. But right now it seems like we are trending towards another cut in late October and then possibly another cut in December. We will have to see. And the no change is down to just 14% at this point, and a 0.50 basis point decrease is at around 9%. So that would be bringing the interest rates down by Halloween to 3.75. And that does seem a little bit rich because we have seen a little bit of an uptick in inflation. Nothing crazy, nothing insane or anything like that. But it's one of those things to where if inflation slightly rises, the 0.50 cut, which is seen as pretty aggressive even with a higher inflation or even with a higher interest rate, is seen as more unlikely. Now, taking a look at the overall big picture and where we're at right now, you do have Ethereum maintaining $4,500, really closing in at that all-time high. And of course, we hope Ethereum at least a 2x. I think that'd be around $600 or $700 billion in terms of market cap for ETH. And that's the hope, at least 10K in terms of the cycle top. Now, a lot of people say it's not going to reach that. It has performed a lot worse than Bitcoin this cycle. There is no question about it. And so that's why we kind of hope there is the chance of maybe 10, 12, 15K. 15K is pushing it a little bit, maybe 10 or 12K, I've heard. You do have Bitcoin hovering around 115K. It's been trading and ranging there for the better part of the last month, around 110 to 120K. And right now it's smack dab in the middle. The altcoin season index right now, you have it at 71 out of 100. So that is interesting. That's actually relatively high. Not that it matters a ton because we wouldn't expect there to be a blow off top until at least Bitcoin reaches, I'll temper it and say 140K because most people are starting to say we're going to have lower expectations. I don't know if I believe that. I'd love to see Bitcoin go to 180, 190. I think it'd be great. But 140 would be the minimum in terms of the cycle top. And you can see the last 30 days, the overall crypto market cap is back above $4 trillion. And at this point, it's actually nearing an all-time high. Where is all this money going into? It's certainly not going into my meme coins. But of course, they're very low. I mean, if my meme coins boomed, this probably wouldn't even be affected because they're so in market cap, and the total supply or the total market cap of crypto is so enormous. Moving on down, you've got Bitcoin dominance still at 57%. We'll know when to sell. We'll know when to sell the alts in most cases when the BTC dominance, I would say, is 42, 43%. Some people will say, well, it'll never get back down that low. I think it will. I don't think it'll get under 40, but I think it'll get down to 42, 43% if I had to guess. Looking at some of these different metrics, you do have right now the fear and greed, which I think is pretty much useless. 51, okay. Although, honestly, you look at this extreme greed. This to be fair to this, I will say, there were a lot of coins that I owned that were a lot higher on November 20th. Or I don't even know if that's true, but I feel like it was a very bullish time, November 20th. And if you sold, you probably did pretty well. Extreme fear in March. I would say the local cycle low for a lot of lower cap Ethereum alts was probably in early April. So this almost nailed it as well. So to be honest, but the thing is with the fear and greed, if you have a fear and greed at like 87, and then it's like, oh, we must sell. Well, it could go to 95 within the next 2 weeks, and your coin could do another 50x. So what is the metric really? I mean, okay, yeah, we want to be selling when it's extreme greed. Okay, thanks. But it might stay in extreme greed for multiple weeks, in which your coin might do a 50x. So you're going to sell immediately when it hits extreme greed. It's just not a proper indicator. It depends on the coins, and it depends on what if it's an alt cycle and where we're at in terms of money flow into Ethereum. You can see the top performers over the past 90 days. Many of these coins are up. Bitcoin is up around 11%. Man, Virtuals is down significantly, but right now they do have. I'm surprised it's at 71 in terms of an alt season. There must be a lot of these higher cap alts doing very, very well. There's been a few other things that have happened in terms of the real world where I haven't checked a ton of these higher cap alts. And honestly, I don't own any of the higher cap alts, if I'm being completely honest. You can see the BTC dominance. The local peak was in late June, and it's seen a fall ever since. You take a look at the last 30 days. Hasn't moved really at all. It's at 57 right now. It's pretty much at 57. Well, it's at 59. So it's fallen by about 3% over the last 30 days. In terms of the dominance, down to 57%. Wouldn't shock me. I know a lot of people were expecting the BTC dominance to rise up back to around 63 or 64% before the alt season was really ushered in. Because if Bitcoin adds another 20 or 30K in terms of price, if it's at 115 right now, it goes to 140, 150. You're looking at billions and billions and billions of dollars added to its market cap. So if it goes up another 30 or 40%, you're talking about $400 or $500 billion added to its market cap. Obviously, in comparison, I mean, Ethereum's entire market cap right now is what, $550, $600 billion. It's just because of how high of a market cap Bitcoin is. And look, if you're invested in a Bitcoin, I know a lot of normies, they say they want to buy Bitcoin, they want to get into it. It is stored value. It's a hedge against inflation in a way, but I'm not really sure. I mean, look, people can do whatever they want, but it's just with Bitcoin, people have to understand you're investing into an asset that's right now, worth $2.5 trillion. We're not looking at 100x here. We're not looking at a 50x. We're not looking at a 20x. This cycle, we might get a 30% increase. Bullish people saying a 50% increase. I mean, you can say, well, maybe it'll be 250 or 275 based off of the price action and just the amount of money in circulation, the amount of money coming into crypto. I think it'd be very hard for it to go at least this cycle to 275, 300K. I think the absolute top is like 200, but this is all just guesstimation. It's all guesswork. So we'll have to see. But either way, in terms of all of this, I would say at this point, you do have the narrative going into October. Everyone says it's very bullish. This year it should be extremely bullish because we just had a rate cut and we should potentially have another rate cut in late October. If you look at the betting and you look at what the Fed has said, they are saying we want another cut after this. And so that's going to give people more disposable income. That could bring the rates down to 4 flat with 2 rate cuts back-to-back months. And with a very potentially bullish October, and we get Bitcoin really starting to run up to 130, 140K in October, maybe early November, we're still on that 4-year cycle track. We're still lined up for a potential blow off top in between potentially Thanksgiving and Christmas, which is about a month and a quarter time. So that's what I would say. Actually, I think it's only a month in between. So it's about a month in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Either way, that's what I would expect right now. And honestly, it is kind of hopium. A lot of people saying, well, the cycle is over. It's not going to happen. I mean, based on the 4-year cycle, we should have a boom 100%. We don't know how it's going to act. We had the extended cycle, the double top in 2021. So who knows really what happens this cycle? Bitcoin, crypto, it's all mainstream now, especially Bitcoin. So there's going to be a huge money flow, hopefully, especially with the timing now of the 4-year cycle and of the potential. I mean, you just have to keep holding. You just have to keep holding and hope that it happens. I mean, there's really nothing else we can do at this point. We're already in so deep at this point when it comes to crypto. we've held, and really I've held for a while now in a lot of these coins, and I'm happy to say that, because to make money you got to be holding for a while, especially a lot of these meme coins or even utility plays that are lower in terms of market cap. A lot of people holding AI plays, a lot of people holding layer one. I know gaming has had a horrible cycle, and I'm not sure if it's going to come back. The VR stuff is it's obviously, it was a 2021 meta, just like the metaverse, just like the sandbox and Decentraland. But either way, guys, for this, I would say I think the dominance probably, standard opinion would be it has to rise. It does, for us to really reach that altcoin blow off top. And that's because simply Bitcoin is going to add probably 30 or 40% in terms of overall price. So it adds 30 or 40K, maybe more. Bitcoin is going to possibly get back up to around 60-65% in terms of total dominance, maybe a little bit lower, because I think these alts are going to hold strong as well. But Bitcoin, it still should be Bitcoin season. Maybe a few alts here and there run. I mean, it's a very nice time for these altcoins. We would like to see a return, especially for many of my alts who have now, they've gone back into a little bit of a slumber. But that's kind of that's just the reality when it comes to investing into these coins. You got to wait for a while for them to wake up. And so I think that's the hope. But I would say Bitcoin, 140, 150K, hopefully minimum. I mean, hopefully it's 180, 190, 200. And you're talking about adding another $1 trillion. I mean, if you're talking about right now $4 trillion, which is the all-time high for the total market cap of cryptocurrency, the hope is a 3x from here. 4 times 3, 12 trillion. I know people have talked about 12 trillion, maybe 10 trillion. That's a lot of money being added to many of the altcoins, and that's many lower cap memes becoming multi-billion-dollar projects. And right now, I mean, how many meme coins are even over $1 billion in terms of market cap? It's not very many. The dream is like the entire first page of memes is over $1 billion, and I think that's when we'll know for sure that things you probably need to sell. But there are all these indicators, and you have to. It's more of a you have to take everything as it is in terms of where your current coins are at in relation to the cycle. We all want the SPX 6900 to where it's already done the 100x, and now it's going to do another 20x on top of that. But a lot of the times that's not how it works. Our coins will do a crazy 50x, and then they'll go right back down. And so it's important to try and time it. But yeah, that's basically it. I think, listen, the hope is that, well, we got the 0.25 cut. The hope is there's another 0.25 cut, and then also possibly in December, another 0.25 cut, or maybe a 0.50 cut and then a 0.25, although I don't think they're going to do that because inflation has been ticking back up a little bit. There hasn't been a lot of people talking about it. There's other events that have happened, but realistically, I would say you're looking at possibly at least 2 more cuts, and that would bring the interest rates down to around a 3.75 by end of the year. And that would be in Q4 because, the last meeting of the year is December 10th. And that would be right smack dab, hopefully, in the middle of an alt season. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. September's been very quiet. Not surprising. And we'll have to see what ends up happening. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. This is not financial advice. Please like the video. Thank you for watching.